Rules Committee. Council Vice President Vecchio, Chairman.
Thank you, Council President. Well, as we discussed, there will be at least one amendment to the rules, but the majority of the changes from the rules that we've been under for the 6 years that I've been under, the only the real changes were basically a couple of housekeeping items, making some of the language gender neutral. That was one of the things that we wanted to do. So we will say chairperson and the rule that created the stir, which is basically to address the one issue regarding the bringing audiovisual equipment in and taking over the meeting, basically. So I would, be glad to amend on that particular rule. The other rules basically are tidying up some of the rules that we had. Doesn't really, I don't think there was any major changes. So I would entertain a motion.
Sure. Council Chairman, really,
Thank you, Mr. Council President. So obviously in Rule 41, we want to definitely make some changes, just because our intention is to never not allow people to record. So there's a couple of things I think we should strike. I don't know how you want to take part of the time. We want to make multiple changes, amendments. It's easier for the clerk. On line 480.
Whichever the council
So,
prefers, we can manage.
So I think on line 481, when it says audio-visual, I think we should put audio-visual presentation equipment or other device. I think that the word presentation is very important to add in there. And then it says, so pagers, audio-visual presentation equipment or other device without express approval by the presiding council member. And I also like to add a sentence where it says, under no circumstances would recording be prohibited unless it's a fine or violation. Or is that, I mean,
just for clarification, just for clarification, where did you want to insert the word presentation?
Presentation would be between after visual, audio-visual presentation equipment.
just for clarity, at the end, you want at the end of that paragraph, you want to state.
Under no such circumstances shall we deny any recording.
Unless the flags go that way.
Or meetings. You know, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Nonsense.
That would be 487.
487, correct.
Clerk, do the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Councilman McCollum.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, just so I understand it, we're striking where it says there will be no use of cell phones or electronic pages, correct?
No, that's not true.
No. So, I think the no use of cell phones, the intent of that is so somebody's not having a conversation out in the audience while we're trying to conduct a meeting. This would be a distraction. I think people can use cell phones to record, absolutely. I don't think the intent is to stifle that at all. I encourage it.
But the way I'm reading it, it says there will be no use of cell phones or electronic pages.
I mean, that was there from prior council, so
Yeah,
I might even be able to strike that whole thing.
I think the intent of that is so that people are not on the phone in the audience talking while we're trying to conduct business.
May I recommend a potentially second amendment after we finish this one that adds the word telephone use of cell phones or pagers? And you can make that as a second amendment, Councilman McCollum. To clarify that piece of road. Any discussion on the First Amendment? Councilman Papazos.
The clarification, tell the clerk read back the amendment for everybody.
So you're going to add presentation and
Correct.
And the last sentence, under no such circumstances shall employment be prohibited unless by advantage.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll on the amendment.
Councilman Lee?
No.
Councilman Hopkins?
Yes.
Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Marqueta?
Yes.
Councilman Colford?
Yes.
Councilman Voskis?
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes. Councilman McCoy, did you want to make an amendment to the rules?
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could, just the way it's reading to me, sir, I may be missing something, but on 480, where it says there will be no use of cell phones or electronic pages, I'd like that reworded so that it doesn't give the impression that we're not allowing cell phone usage to record.
May I make a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Maybe after the word pagers, add the comment in a manner that is audible to others.
That's fine by me, sir.
So if you'd like to make that as an amendment,
I'll second that.
so I have an amendment on the floor. Any discussion on the amendment? Councilman Stichels.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but the next sentence that says, private discussion should be kept to a respectful tone so as not to disturb the proceedings. Wouldn't that cover what we're talking about? Maybe we could just eliminate the word cell phones or electronic pages.
But that would be oral, private discussions would be oral communication, not on cell phone, not using electronic.
Well, that's a private discussion when you're talking on the phone, no?
Well, that's part of the private rules, those are rules in there.
I know, I'm just suggesting it might be a simpler way to deal with it, but
Councilman Pawlowski.
I'm fine with either way it works. I don't know too many people that carry a pager anymore. 1994 left us a long time ago, so I'm fine either way.
We have a motion to amend on the floor, so if there's no counter amendment, we have a second, so I guess we'll just go with that. So a motion and a second, there being no more discussion. Clerk, I'll read back the amendment just so everyone's voting on it.
Act for electronic pages in a manner that is audible.
Thank you. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Lee?
Yes.
Councilman Hopkins?
Yes.
Councilman Stichels?
yes.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Marqueta?
Yes.
Councilman Colford?
Yes.
Councilman Voskis?
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes. Councilman Stichels.
I have another amendment to propose. This would replace number 4 in the rules. And it would strike the number 4 and it would replace it with this the following sentences. The council president shall appoint all majority party members of all committees and subcommittees of the city council and their respective chair and vice chair. The council minority leader shall appoint all minority party members of all committees and subcommittees. If, am I going too fast? No. If the minority party has 3 or 4 members of the council, it shall be entitled to 2 members on each committee. And if I can get a second,
I'll second that.
the purpose of this is obviously so that the minority party will appoint its minority members, and that there will be a more, in the rules, there will be a more equal representation or a representation of the minority party that reflects its representation on the full council.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Through the chair to the chairman of the Rules Committee. Councilman Vice President Fabicchio, is this rule number 4 from prior councils?
That rule's been there since the last 6 years I've been on the council. It's that period of time. I'm surprised that, it
So
wasn't
we-
recommended in the last 6 years.
So we didn't write this rule in committee?
We did not write that rule. I did not change that rule. That's the rule that we've been operating under for at least the 6 years. This is my 7th year.
That's all I have.
The chair.
Yes.
That rule has been in place since I assumed this position, which was in 1999.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Hopkins, you had your hand up before, Councilman Lane.
Yes, just to reiterate that, I was going to ask about the last 20 years when the other party was in the majority. Were we under the same rules, or are we trying to change that?
That would be the case. Councilman Lane.
Thank you.
When I was council president, I made sure 2 members of the minority party were on every committee. And the reason why is so they can get a second. If you come up with a great idea and a minority member, and you can't get a second, your idea goes nowhere unless it's resurrected 6 months later by the majority party. And that's why there was always 2 members of every committee. One exception was the finance committee. And I only had 1 member of the minority party at the time, but I knew the council president would switch parties anyways, so I looked and said, I kept him on the finance committee. So there were actually two members of the finance committee when my term expired.
Thank you, Councilman, for being able to look into a crystal ball a year and a half before I switched parties, knowing I was going to do it, so thank you for that. Any other discussion on the rule? Councilman Arquette.
Thank you, Council President. I think what my colleague, Councilor Stakos, is trying to do is let the subcommittees mirror the full council. With a 5-4 chamber, I mean, there's not much difference. I think there's 1 vote more you have in a full council. And if you look at the committee level, that's not the case. It's on some committees, there's only 1 person representing the minority party. So I think what Councilman Stakos' amendment is to just basically change the compositions of the subcommittees in order to mirror what our full council is like. I mean, the Republicans don't have a overwhelming mandate here. They're ruling by 1 vote. So, in all fairness, I think Councilman Stakos' idea does have merit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Stakos.
Yeah, if I could just add, I would agree that this rule, like Mike said, has been in at least 7 years and probably a lot longer. I think we're now in a time when it's not automatically a Democratic council, which it was for 19 years, and it's likely to go back and forth in the future. And we ought to have a rule that protects the minority and gives it proper representation, whether that minority is Republican or a Democrat. And that when we vote on this, you ought to think about the possibility that next time around you might be the minority. And you benefit from this rule because it's a fair rule. Just like I remember when we had a resolution in Councilman Box proposed to eliminate the master level. And that clearly hurt Democrats, but I voted for it because I thought it was fair. And I would hope we would do the same on this amendment as a Republican.
Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Lane?
Yes.
Councilman Hopkins?
No.
Councilman Stakos?
Yes?
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Arquette?
Yes.
Councilman Holford?
No.
Councilman Paplaskas?
No.
Councilman Fabicchio?
No.
No. Motion fails. Any further amendments to the rules? There being none, I'll take a motion for the rules as amended.
So second.
I have a motion to approve the rules as amended in a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Lane?
No.
Councilman Hopkins?
Yes.
Councilman Stakos?
No?
No.
Council Culver?
Yes.
Council Paplaskas?
Yes.